So now when we speak of CAD tool, right, it helps us with another feature, that is automatic routing and placement. So once we go through the once we get the RTL code, we can make some modifications so that it works in a proper form. Once that is obtained, right, then we can obtain the gate level netlist. So once that gate level netlist is obtained, which can be later used to create masks, which can be used for production of the ICs. So this we had discussed in previous sessions. What is netlist, what it contains, and how that netlist can be used for building the ICs. That is, we can create the masks, and masks we can use to build the ICs. So that is what we had discussed in previous session. So the automatic routing and placement they were also achieved with the help of the CAD tools, in which we made use of computer programs in order to establish these things. Then designers built small building blocks and then obtained higher level of blocks till we obtained the say required functionality. Till we obtained the required functionality. So we start with the smaller chunks and we go up with the larger chunks, building the larger chunks, and what all features are required will be incorporated with the help of those smaller building blocks or smaller chunks. So that is how a computer aided came into existence. So if previous this thing discussion, if we just recall, there we had circuit level, that is the switch level. Then we came with the gate level. So if I want to implement gate level, I can go back to the smaller version, that is circuit level, implement the gate level features and use that entire chunk. So I want to implement a NOT gate. So in NOT gate is not, this thing is available even in gate level of abstraction. But if I want to go back and build a NOT gate, I can do that. I can make use of switches. So from smaller chunks, that is the switches, I am building the higher level blocks, say the gates. So that is what it specifies over here. Then what happened was logic simulators. These came into existence. Now, these logic simulators were basically used to verify the functionality of the digital circuits what you have designed. And once these functionalities are verified, then you can go for fabrication process. That is fabrication of the chip. So these are just a few things to discuss around with respect to evolution of CAD. So next is the emergence of HDLs, that is hardware description languages. Now we had seen computer programs such as C, Fortran, say C++. So if I just speak of the other this thing, then we had Pascal. So these all computer programs were existing in the previous cases. Now if you just see at the C program, which majority of you have gone through, so in that, if you just observe the instructions and the other stuff, that is how you declare a variable, how you go ahead with conditional parameters, how you go ahead with looping. So if you just go through that program, it is just a simple English-like language which can be used to obtain the desired functionality. Now, can we have the same kind of features in hardware description? Can we have a language which provides almost the same kind of features with hardware description but with some additional tweakings? So that is if I just observe what would happen is C program and Fortran, they were sequential in their nature. Now what led to the emergence of HDL was looking at these programs, can I build a language which helps us to have the hardware description, which helps us to have the hardware description. Now, why this comes is there is one specific thing we have to look out for. This we have discussed in previous sessions also. Now, what led to the emergence of HDL was there was a thought by the designers on can we have the designing of the digital circuits using some standard language, so such as similar to those of Fortran, Pascal, or C programming. So these things gave the idea that can we have something same for hardware description and to design the digital circuits. Now another feature which comes is can we model the concurrency process which we observe in the hardware? That is, this we had spoken in previous this thing. Say for example, I have a AND gate and there is an input over here, and I have a XOR gate. That is, we had seen the adder, and the same A is that is the input A is applied to the XOR gate. So with other values also. So now here, what observation we can see is, if A changes its value, say if it is logic 0, if A changes its value, this 0 should go simultaneously to AND gate and simultaneously to the XOR gate. So this is what concurrency applies. If next this thing it becomes 1, 1 should be applied simultaneously to A, and it should be applied simultaneously to the X, that is the XOR gate. And at the same time, if I just see that both can give the results simultaneously, that is concurrency. So this is what can I model the concurrency process that we basically observe in the hardware elements. So even you can see in your digital electronics lab, right? You place ICs. Hmm? You place ICs, you apply some voltage to this. Just a simple example. So if this voltage what is applied over here changes, then it simultaneously gets applied to all, and because of which there might be the IC might be giving you results, or some changes might be happening in a simultaneous fashion. So this is what is observed in your hardware circuits, what you observe. So this is what led to the emergence of HDL. That is, first one, can we have the designing of digital circuits in some standard language similar to that of C, Fortran, Pascal, which they provide. But along with that, we should provide the concurrency process. We should have parallel approach, parallelism. So this also should be provided. So now here there was another thing, that is because of this HDL, right? Verilog HDL and VHDL came into existence. Now Verilog was the first one which originated. It was originated in around 1983. Now later VHDL came into existence. Later VHDL came into existence. Now, both of these are hardware description languages, and the previous sessions we had discussed some things, that what are the features of HDLs, what all it supports. So those all stand true for both Verilog and VHDL. Now, in short, both simulate large digital circuits. So if you have a very big system, and I want to design a digital circuit, this thing for this system, I can do it using Verilog or VHDL. I can do it using Verilog or VHDL. So, and I can simulate this thing and try to verify the functionality, whether it is operating properly or not. So that is what we can just check out in this. Now, what happened was, since developers, few of the developers were using Verilog HDL and few of them were using VHDL, both gained acceptance. Both gained acceptance from the designers. But there were some advantages, disadvantages, as we had discussed in previous sessions also. That why Verilog is advantageous, why VHDL is advantageous, what are its features. So these all things we had discussed in previous sessions. Now, HDLs were basically used for logic verification. So logic verification is nothing but whether, say, if I'm implementing a half adder, and if some changes are happening, so 0 plus 0, whether it is giving 0 at the output, 0 plus 1, whether it is giving the sum as sum equal to 1. So these all things, these kind of things we could verify logically using the HDLs. But what happened was, designers still had to do some manual translation, which was related to the HDL based design. So in which we looked out for schematic circuit. So schematic circuit is basically, in short, if I just want to specify, is say if I am having a half adder, where is AND gate, where is XOR gate, how they get placed, what are its inputs, what are its outputs. So all these things have to be specified. So this is your schematic circuit which will be presented. So these all still had to be done in a manual way. But later, with some few advancements, right, still we can go ahead with, say, automated simulation of these all things. So wherein we got schematic circuit, but in the manual way of translation, where which basically tells us how the interconnection between the gates are present. So that is what we have seen even in the previous cases. Now later, what happened is in order to overcome this problem, that is to avoid the manual translation from the HDL based design into the schematic. In order to avoid this manual translation, logical synthesis tools were developed, which basically originated in 1890s, and later they got incorporated with the HDL, say Verilog HDL and VHDL. So in this, what was the main thing? That is the logical synthesis tool. The digital circuits were basically described using the RTL code or RTL specification with the help of the HDL. So I obtained RTL specifications over here. So logical synthesis tool helped us to obtain this RTL synthesis or RTL code with the help of HDL. So this RTL code would give me the detailed information of the digital circuits. So in a previous listing also we had discussed what is meant by RTL. So register transfer logic. So in simple, if I just want to specify, it relates to the how the transfer of data is happening between the registers, how the transfer of data is happening between the registers, and what kind of processes or operations will be performed on this data. So RTL is giving me that information. RTL is giving me those information. So in this case, right, RTL basically required to specify, that is its definition itself. RTL, it mentions how the data flow happens between the registers. That is what I mentioned, transfer of data between the registers. And another thing was what design processes the data. So on data, what all design processes have to be incorporated. So that is what RTL will be providing. Now RTL description used the logical synthesis tool in order to basically extract the design details. So in this one, how the interconnections are present. So RTL description is mentioning along with the data flow and the design processes that will be done on the data. Along with this, it made use of the logical synthesis tool in order to obtain some detailed design. That is how the gates and their interconnections would be implemented in the circuit. So this is what was done with respect to the RTL, that is using the RTL. Now here what happened was due to this, previously we saw that in LSI itself there was manual intervention which was involved. So such kind of manual interventions were reduced because of the logical synthesis tool, because of the logical synthesis tool. So HDL basically helped to obtain complex circuits at a very, say, higher level of abstraction. It basically helped us to obtain a very a very high level of abstraction. This thing, we could just define these complex circuits and we could build the entire system. Now here, what does this imply is we had seen different levels of abstractions, right? So in that behavioral level, right? Behavioral level. So when I start coding in behavioral level kind of modeling, right? What happens is this looks much similar to C programming kind of aspect. So how you are doing C programming, you are defining the variables into A, comma B, and what you will be doing, say A is equal to B, you'll be writing it in this form. Whereas in the previous levels, what would happen is it would not be much like the C program, wherein you have to take care of n number of things. But in behavioral, you are not doing like that. So you are trying to keep the coding as simple as possible. That is what you are trying to do here. So the behave because of this implementation, this statements comes over here. Now, if the circuit is complex enough, then I can define the circuit, complex circuit, in a very high level of abstraction. Say, for example, behavioral level of abstraction, and we can define its functionality and the data flow. This was all done with the help of the HDL. This was all done with the help of the HDL. Now, HDL later they also used it for system level design. Now, system level is a totally high end term what we specify. So, what we are doing is we are building smaller chunks of elements. We are building smaller chunks of elements, and we are testing its functionalities. For example, this is AND gate, this is XOR gate. So, this is a smaller chunk. So I have defined it, I have tested it, everything. Now what I can do is I can have a system level of specification which can make use of all these blocks and specify that, say, some input parameter is given. Say, for example, you are providing some temperature input and you are checking what should be the fan speed. It is just a simple task what I'm just specifying. So based on the temperature, you are controlling the speed of the fan. So this is one entire system. So which is having one purpose. So such kind of specification, such kind of system level design could be possible with the help of HDL. So in this one, system boards interconnect, that is simulation of the system boards interconnect buses. That is how I interconnect the data to be transferred between the registers, what all exchanges have to be done. So when I'm speaking of system, it might have n number of units. Say my computer is one entire system, so which is having ALU, then memory, this thing. So if I want to get access to the memory, I should make use of these buses. How this interconnect buses will be present. So all these things could be mentioned in HDL. Then we had FPGAs, then PALs, PLAs also we had discussed. So these are just a few things with which we could go ahead with the system level design. Now, another common approach in digital circuit design is first you design the chip using the HDL, and then what you do is you verify the system functionality via the simulation. You are just designing the chip, and for what purpose that chip is utilized. You are verifying it in a simulation form. So in HDL, using the HDL, you are designing the entire chip. So once the chip has been designed, you test its functionality. Say the chip, what the chip has to do is, IC chip has to do is, it has to accept, say, the temperature parameter. Say it is a temperature sensor, and it has to give some output, and this output can be later used for some other purposes. The functionality of this one is to read the temperature and give some appropriate output. So this functionality can be verified. So I implement this entire thing and design the IC chip using the HDL, and later verify the functionality of this IC. That too, I am doing it in simulation form. I am not actually implementing it in the hardware first. So why we do this thing is, why simulation is, it will save a lot of time in the design process. If anything has to be changed, again I should go back to RTL and make some changes. Say I am not getting some appropriate, so temperature, if I have temperature sensor is there, so 0 degrees is there, it will give you some output value. 1 degree you are expecting some output value. Suppose these values you are not getting, so some mistakes might be there. So what you can do is, again you can go back and see what mistakes are present over here or in your previous this thing, and then rectify and then come back and simulate it again in order to till you get the intended functionality. So these all things you will be doing in HDL. So this is how the HDL has emerged. So it started off with your C programming aspect. So why not we can have something similar like C programming, Fortran, Pascal, in order to have the hardware description. So this led to the inculcation of the hardware description languages. So under this we had Verilog HDL and VHDL. So in which first Verilog HDL came into existence and then later VHDL came into existence. So this is what we had discussed. And then we had some comparisons also with respect to Verilog HDL and VHDL. And then what happened was after this simulation logical synthesis tool came into existence. So logical synthesis tool came into existence, which basically tried to reduce the manual intervention what we were speaking in previous conditions. So then from this, we could get the RTL specification using which we could identify how the data flows between the registers and what design processes the data. So these all things we discussed in the emergence of HDL. And later we could have a system level of design specification, which could be done with the help of the FPGA, PALs, or simulation of system boards, interconnect buses. So that is how it came around, and the final thing which we come across is we design the IC chip using HDL, and then we verify its functionality via the simulation. And if some changes have to be done, again we go back, we do the changes, and we get back to this process of simulation and testing the functionality. So this is what we have done. So let us wind up here.